Outside of binoculars, this is the best money I've spent on birding, hands down. I'm talking about the Sibley Field Guide app on the phone. This is the second edition. I absolutely love this application. And in this video, I'm gonna give you a quick overview of it, talk about why I love it so much, why I never carry a field guide with me when I'm out birding in the field, and I'm only using this. And we will touch on a few of the drawbacks as well. So let's dive right into it. So the Sibley Field Guide app, the second edition, is a full field guide on your phone, like I mentioned in the intro. It has a species account of all 946 North American birds. This application is specifically for the US, so sorry to any of my international folks. Looking at the home screen here, we're immediately brought to the species page. And you can see I can scroll through all of these birds here, and let's click in on wood duck. And you can open it up and you see the beautiful artwork by Sibley rendered on your phone. So you can see all of the identification features, and then if you tap the things on the bottom, you can get information about the species itself and its habitat. You can see the range. There are audio recordings too, and then you can compare it to similar species. Now there's a couple of other features too nested within the menu. You can create your own life list. You can kind of report sightings and stuff you've seen on here. You can set up tags to do custom groupings of birds. So maybe you want to include birds that you've seen at your home and list them all with a specific tag. You can do that over here underneath my tags. You can see I set up a little quick, simple favorite birds tag. I just threw a couple of species in here, so it limits the full list down to there. And then you have options to look at birds alphabetically or look at them taxonomically, which is usually how I prefer to do it. Also on the side, you'll notice languages there. This is supported in a couple of different languages: English, French, Spanish, and Latin. And then, kind of neat, I just discovered this the other day. One of the downsides I thought in comparing this to the physical book was it wasn't going to have the intro, the foreword information about identifying birds and some of the parts of a bird, but there's all the information there just nested within the menu that I totally didn't know about. So if I hop over to parts of a passerine, that is shown here, and it labels all of the things you could be considering when looking at field marks. Now, this is a smaller screen for sure compared to the book version. Let's see if I can find the same page. Yeah, parts of a passerine. So let's see if I can show that to you there. Right here, you can see it is the exact same on the phone, just at a different form factor. Diving in on why I love this app so much, I'll have to start with the field guides themselves. This is the second edition for the birds of North America. I also have the Sibley Birds West here. Same information, smaller form factor, less birds, because this is only Western species. But these field guides are pretty largely considered to be some of the best ones you can get. Part of the reason for that are these beautiful illustrations. They really help pick out the field marks when you're comparing different species. And so you take this book and condense it into this form factor of a phone. It is so much better for carrying in the field. Now, when I'm out birding, I obviously try to focus on the birds, and even if I don't know what something is, I just watch the bird and start to note down field marks to myself. I'm not usually thumbing through a field guide anyways, but if I do need to do some references or get read up on a species if we're going out to look for a specific bird, I would rather not have to bring this. This thing's pretty heavy, and so having it condensed down into my phone is amazing. I absolutely love this. Now, don't get me wrong, I do appreciate still having the book. It's nice to be able to look through at this scale when I'm at home. But when I'm out and I'm concerned about my weight, I already have my phone on me, so that's not adding any more weight to have an application covering the same exact purpose. And so my favorite field guide is digital, and that's why I absolutely love this app. Now let me show you a total side-by-side here. I'm gonna get a clip of a species. Let's do one that's familiar here in Utah. I'm gonna pick the Wilson's phalarope. So I'm gonna pull that up on the phone and pull it up in the book and compare the two for you. As I look through this book here, that is just bringing up one of the advantages of the app. the search feature. You can search for birds instead of having to figure out where the bird is in here. I would imagine this is organized by species group, but where are the shorebirds? Wow, this is taking me a long time. That is actually a huge advantage. Oh, here we got some gulls. It's probably before the gulls. Yeah, here we go. Shorebirds. All right, I have both pulled up side by side here. And actually, one of the nice things about this being on a phone is I'm not limited to a page. So he's made every one of his illustrations a little bit bigger, whereas a few of them on the phone are, a few of them on the book are actually slimmed down a little bit so they can fit on the page. But these on the phone here are all pretty much the exact same size. And you can click on them and zoom in, which is kind of neat too, to see the illustration even closer. Flipping over to the description and habitat stuff, this can actually be longer too, because again, you're not limited to a page. Another win for the phone. There's a lot of good information here. I also love that it shows the banding code at the very bottom, so if you're trying to learn banding codes, this might be helpful to you. Really, really awesome stuff. And I'm navigating here by clicking the stuff on the bottom of the page. Again, I can click this and bring up the range map. A lot bigger than the version on the book, yet again. And an ultimate win for the Sibley app is it has calls. So if I wanted to play a call, let me just do one here. The song, I guess. That's pretty neat. And obviously, this thing ain't playing any calls. It is a book, not a device. So let me hide that there. And now a really neat feature is you can compare similar species. So if I'm looking at all of the phalarope out in the Great Salt Lake, I can bring up red-necked phalarope and Wilson's phalarope side by side and compare the two species there so I can really identify what I'm looking at. Now the book does have this for certain species that are so closely confused with each other. It does have some sections. There's a specific one I'm looking at here on here that says identifying phalarope, and it gives some feedback and tips and tricks on how to identify the various species. This is a neat thing that I kind of wish was included in the device, but you can just do that direct comparison and note the differences yourself. One more benefit of the app is how good the search is. You can search a name of a species or a banding code. Like I just illustrated earlier, it is way faster to find birds this way. So if I want lesser goldfinch, I could use the 4-letter banding code Lego, and it pops up. And you can see, at least on my device, this is so snappy. It's quick, fast. You can go through stuff so quickly and really get to the bird you're wanting to see. You can also enable your location. So I could set it to be Utah, the birds in July, and that cuts down the species to about 312 possible species. I will caution you, you might get vagrants and weird rarities that show up that aren't on here when you do this feature. And so use this with caution, but if you're looking at a bird that is likely in your state, this can be kind of neat. It also puts in a couple of different distinctions when you enable your location. I just opened up Virginia's warbler here, and it shows the Utah status by month, which is pretty neat too. It's a relatively uncommon bird, which is why it's marked as a U throughout these summer months here in Utah. And then if I hop over to the left-hand panel, you can also do a smart search. So I start with the bird status and month. Again, it's Utah in July right now. I can put what was the bird doing. You have a couple of options here. Let's say the bird was tipping up in the water. It looks duck-like. Let's see, size. Just say large. I don't want to specify the rest of these. So these questions are actually optional, which is pretty cool. And it lists a bunch of species that could be my bird here. And I love that it groups it in the families too. We have the rails and coots, and then or the ducks and geese. So I could refine these questions a little bit further, and it gets super detailed. I don't know, do any ducks have a crest? Yeah, I guess the wood duck kind of does, so that limits it even further. Pretty awesome stuff. This smart search is really powerful. Now, I did mention this app that I've just raved about for a couple of minutes here does have drawbacks. And I would say a few of the main ones, obviously when you have a phone versus a book, your phone can run out of battery, it could die, something could happen to it. Your book is gonna be the same no matter what, I guess unless you drop it in water or something, but that is gonna win in that sense. Some people also just prefer that tactile feel. They love flipping through and looking at the birds here. And I really think field guides make great gifts for that specifically. And I guess the other thing to mention too, any type of glare and the display is only gonna be as good as the phone you have. So your device actually might limit the quality of the application, whereas the book is gonna be the same. It's gonna look great no matter what. And now getting to the major downside, the price. Unfortunately, this is not free. The app costs $20, which upon looking at it, I can understand what you might be thinking because I was thinking the same thing. 20 bucks for an app? That's ridiculous. Like, I remember most apps are like $1.99 and maybe even ones that are up to $9.99. Though thinking about it more, they've made all the effort to essentially make a digital replica of this. And this book is between 20 to 30, maybe even upwards of 40, but usually around $25. And so putting it into a digital form, the same thing, it starts to make a little more sense. And I was hesitant at first. I totally understand you, but the amount I've used this application when I'm out birding needing to question an ID or just studying birds, I do think it's worth it. Of course, I do wish it was cheaper, but I've been really happy making this investment and having this app. And this will carry with me through all of my devices, my future phone upgrades, and I can even get it on my iPad now that I paid for it with my phone. But I'm not saying this is for everyone. I do think it's a great application, but if you're just getting started in birding, I'm a huge advocate for saving your money. Make sure you are really enjoying the hobby before you start throwing money at things. I would encourage you to first use an application like Merlin, which is totally free by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. You won't get the beautiful Sibley artwork that really helps with field identification, but you will get lots of photos of the birds and a few other great features like Sound ID. I use both applications, Merlin and Sibley. I prefer Sibley as a more field guide type thing, but if you really are enjoying birding and you're starting to think that you are going to do it more long term, I do think it's a quite handy tool and can service a wide range of people. Let me know what you think. Do you like using physical field guides in the field, or do you lean more on an application like Merlin or Sibley? For me personally, like I mentioned, I love Sibley, and I will occasionally supplement that with Merlin. Thank you though for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe learned a thing or two. I'll see you in the next one. Happy birding.